In today's video, I will be sharing 4 Christmas farmhouse DIYs. I headed to Dollar Tree and grabbed some Christmas items, and I can't wait to share with you what I made. These are all super easy wood projects that'll add that perfect touch of Christmas charm to your decor. For the first DIY, I grabbed 4 of these wooden pallets at Dollar Tree, and these are about 4 by 6 inches. They do have a slightly larger pallet. I didn't think about it until I was done with this project. They're called hanging wood fence, and they're about 5 by 7, so if you want to make a larger version of this project, you can get those instead. I'm going to glue these together, but before I do that, I want to add some color. I'm going to mix together khaki and territorial beige from Apple Barrel. I really love mixing these two together because you get such a beautiful, warm, earthy beige color. I want it to go on like a stain, so I add some water to thin it down. So I brush the mixture on top of the pallets and then I wipe it down before it dries. I really love using acrylic paints to make stain because not only is it cost effective, but you're also not dealing with harmful fumes. Since I will be gluing the pallets together with 2 on top and 2 on the bottom, I make sure to avoid applying the stain on the areas where I'm going to glue. To glue, I'm going to be using wood glue. I get these at Dollar Tree, but you can definitely use your glue of choice. So I apply the glue on the ends and then I push them together like so. And I'm just using a little wood block just to make sure that the ends are flush. And then I glue the other 2 the same way. And then I apply glue on the long sides of the 2 that were glued together. And then I bring everything together. To make sure the joints don't snap apart, I'm reinforcing with some popsicle sticks, and I'm just using hot glue to bond them together. I do make sure to place them in areas that's not going to be seen on the other side. So I apply the popsicle sticks vertically and a couple horizontally as well. Once everything is dried, I'm going to do some stenciling. I got this 11-piece Christmas stencil pack on Amazon, and I'm going to use the snowflake one with the word Merry Christmas in the center. I like this pack because these stencils are quite large. I'll have it linked in my description box below if you want to check it out. I'm going to paint them using a couple chalk paints, white and the shade Crimson from Waverly. First, I'm going to cover up Merry Christmas because I'm going to paint that a red, so I use some painter's tape to cover up that area. To apply the white chalk paint on the snowflake, I do make sure to dab out as much excess paint on a paper towel that's on the stencil brush, and then I apply it in circular motions. Now, I don't really mind it not being completely opaque in the application because I do want some of that wood showing through underneath the snowflake. So once I finish applying the white chalk paint, I'm going to switch out the painter's tape, and I'm just going to cover up the edges of the snowflake. Before applying the crimson red on Merry Christmas, I do make sure to dab out as much excess paint that's on the brush. And this will help prevent any bleeding underneath the stencil. And then I just apply it over Merry Christmas in circular motions. This time I do want it to be completely opaque. Now I think these palettes make a beautiful frame for Christmas decor, and really stenciling is just one of the many ways you can craft with it. Once I'm done applying the paint, I remove the stencil and this DIY is done. You can embellish with some greenery and bows, but I really love it just like that. For the next DIY, I grabbed 3 of these 2 by 18-inch wood planks from Dollar Tree. I'm going to make a stain using a couple acrylic paints, territorial beige and khaki from Apple Barrel. I usually like to add more of the khaki color and then a few drops of the territorial beige to darken. And then, of course, some water to thin it down so that it'll go on like a stain. So I apply the stain 1 plank at a time, and then I wipe it down to remove any of the excess paint. I really love these 2 together. You get such a beautiful, natural, warm shade. Now I will be gluing these 3 planks together side by side, so I make sure not to apply any of the paint on those areas. Before I glue them together, I flip them over, and this will make sure that the surface will be nice and even. And then I apply some wood glue on the long sides. Once that's assembled and dried, I'm going to apply this Let It Snow stencil that I picked out from the stencil pack. Again, I will have that link below if you want to check it out. I'll be using crimson, red, and white chalk paint. I'm going to paint snow white and let it in red. And so first I want to secure the stencil on the wood, so I use some painter's tape to secure it in place. I'm going to paint Let It first, so I cover up the word snow. I load my stencil brush with chalk paint and I make sure to remove or dab out any excess paint. This is a very important step. And I just apply the paint in circular motions until it's completely covered. After that, I carefully remove the painter's tape and then I lightly press it over the word Let It. I really just want to cover up the edge of the word, and I don't want to push it down too hard. And then with a new brush, I brush on the white chalk paint over the word snow. Now for the word snow, I don't really apply it on too thick because I do want some of that wood underneath to show through. Hey, by the way, I'm so thrilled to share that this video is part of a Christmas farmhouse collaboration with some of my talented crafter friends on YouTube. This wonderful collab was organized by my friend C from CJ DIY, and you'll find a link to her channel and the entire playlist in the description box below. Once I'm done applying the paint, I carefully peel out the painter's tape, and then I remove the stencil, and wow, it's so pretty. Now if these wood pieces were longer, I would have loved to stencil in that snowflake on top. But it's not, so I'm going to instead add some embellishments with these Christmas greenery from Dollar Tree. I cut out a few and then I'm just going to place them on the top right corner like so. I was going to add this adorable black and white ribbon from Dollar Tree to make a bow, but I changed my mind. Instead, I decided to go with just a few of these pine cones. I love the colors of these two together. It just gives it a natural, rustic farmhouse vibe. I also added a few berries as well. Underneath, I placed a wooden snowflake. This came in a pack from Dollar Tree, and I covered up the hole with spackle and I brushed on some white. And this Christmas sign is done. The next DIY is going to be a quick one. I'm going to make a tray. And I'll be using this blank wooden frame sign from Dollar Tree. You know, I really like turning these into trays because it's already painted for you. I think it looks great the way it is already. First, I'm going to remove the hanging string stapled on the back. I'm going to add some handles, and I'll be using these plastic handles that I've already had on hand. I'm going to spray paint them gold using Rust-Oleum's metallic gold paint. It really applies nicely not only to wood, but on plastic as well. I'll also be spray painting 4 of these Dollar Tree craft cubes, and these will go underneath the tray. So I take them outside to paint, and once that's dry, I flip over the sign and I glue the cubes on each corner. The handles are going to be more decorative than functional, and so I just glue those down with a little E6000. Now if you don't have handles, you can easily make handles with some dowels and craft cubes as well. You can also paint the wood frame to a darker color like red. I think that would look great as well. And this DIY is done. The last DIY is another quick one. I'll be using this beaded tassel from Dollar Tree. Now you can easily make this with some beads and jute string, or you can buy it already made for $1.25. On the other end of the tassel, I wanted to attach a nice little Christmas ornament, and so I headed to Dollar Tree. I picked out this adorable black and white ornament that says snow. I wanted to change up the embellishments on top. It's really not that bad, but I decided to replace it with some Christmas greenery that I thought looked a little better. And so I removed it and I just untwisted that wire that attached it to the ornament, and the whole thing came right out. I'm going to be using a couple of these Christmas stems. These are from Dollar Tree, and I snip a few small pieces off. Then the only thing I didn't like about it was the glitter that was all over. Honestly, I tried my best to remove as much as I could. I used a small paintbrush and that worked pretty well. And so I just glued them on top. I ended up gluing back the bow that it came with, and then I added some little pine cones and berries, and these are from Hobby Lobby. For the tassel, I decided to wrap some red string to make the head, and I just used hot glue to secure that in place. And this quick and easy DIY is done. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the playlist in my description box below. Until next time, bye!